Welcome to Premier League Match Pack, your weekly guide to all the stats that matter. 11 matches have been played since our last show, bringing the overall tally to 334 games so far. 935 goals have been scored, with Christian Benteke one of only 4 players to register 10 or more away from home. 2,854 shots on target have been recorded in the division, resulting in a goal scored roughly every third attempt. And that statistic has kept our goalkeepers on their toes with 1,913 saves. Burnley's Tom Heaton remains the busiest with 129.
The North London derby has been renowned for its drama down the years. And as Tottenham Hotspur and Arsenal prepare to meet in the Premier League for the 50th time, fans and players alike are steeling themselves for a fixture with a very special edge.
You know it's going to be like no other game that you play in the season. Of course, you know how important it is to the fans, and you don't want to let them down. You're desperate not to get beat, but of course you want to win the game. So as soon as you played that game the week before, that's straight away, that's gone, and all you can think about is getting on the pitch and preparing for that game against Arsenal.
This particular meeting takes on extra significance with Spurs still firmly in title contention after their midweek win at Crystal Palace, while Arsenal have their sights set on the top 4. The 14-point lead that Tottenham hold over their great rivals is the biggest gap since 1963. Perhaps no surprise given their imperious form at White Hart Lane. Only 3 times has a Premier League team averaged more points per match at home than Tottenham this season. And Mauricio Pochettino's men have won their last 12 top-flight games on their own turf, a club record in a single campaign.
White Hart Lane has become such a fortress this year, which is amazing really, because a lot of teams have come and they do just sit there and say, come and break us down, and that is very difficult to do. It can be very frustrating, but the way Spurs play, they've been so patient in their play this year, and I think that just comes from a real belief.
Tottenham's hopes of preserving that unbeaten home league record may rest on neutralising the threat from Alexis Sanchez, who appears to relish playing on the road. Only Emmanuel Adebayor in 2007-08 has scored more away goals in a Premier League season for Arsenal than the Chilean's 13 so far. But the potential return of Danny Rose from injury will boost Spurs' hopes of stifling Sanchez. Rose burst onto the scene with a fantastic Premier League debut goal in this fixture back in 2010 and has since developed into a key asset in both defence and attack. Ben Davies has performed admirably in his absence but hasn't been able to match the levels set by his teammate in a number of areas. Pochettino will surely be tempted to push his first-choice left-back straight back into the fray if he can prove his fitness in time.
Danny Rose is an unbelievable player. The way that he's improved in recent years under Pochettino has been incredible. We all knew that he was obviously very good going forward, but defensively now he's 100% sound as well. He's got the right balance in his game, and absolutely no surprise to see him as the #1 choice for England as well.
Also a key figure for both club and country, Harry Kane will have played a pivotal role if Spurs go on to secure a first Premier League title. The 23-year-old is only the 4th player in the division's history after Alan Shearer, Thierry Henry and Ruud van Nistelrooy to score at least 20 goals in 3 successive seasons. Expect Kane to be looking forward to this fixture because his record's excellent, scoring 5 of Tottenham's last 6 league goals in the North London derby. Pochettino's emphasis on promoting young English talent could pay dividends, as the likes of Kane and PFA Young Player of the Year Dele Alli fully understand what the match means.
It's not until you play in that first game that you really get it, and I think that that's what all the young players at Spurs they've taken on board. And also being English, I think sometimes the foreign players come in and don't realise quite how important it is and quite how big it is for the fans. And I think that's something that possibly where Spurs in recent years have had a little bit of an edge.
Victory for Spurs would guarantee they finish above Arsene Wenger's Arsenal for the first time. And the Frenchman may be concerned by this season's record of just 1 win from 9 games against fellow members of the current top 7. The stakes have rarely been higher in this famous fixture.
It's going to be a huge one for Spurs in terms of trying to stay in that title race, and for Arsenal to try and get into the top 4, which they've done forever it seems. So It's always a massive game, but being so close to the end of the season, I think there's an extra edge to it, and the atmosphere, I'm sure, will be electric, as it always is.
With that North London derby in mind, our match-pack question of the week is all about goal scorers. We're asking who's the youngest player to score in the Premier League games between Tottenham Hotspur and Arsenal. The answer's coming up later in the show. Chelsea march on. 4 more goals and 3 more points in midweek preserved their advantage at the top of the table. Tottenham remain hot on their heels, but with games running out, Antonio Conte's side are edging ever closer to the Premier League title. They now travel to Everton for arguably their toughest remaining fixture of the run-in. Ronald Koeman's side have been in phenomenal form in front of their own fans, winning their last 8 league games at home. It's quite a turnaround from last season. The Dutchman has overseen improvements in every department to bring the fear factor back to Goodison.
It is an old traditional club, fantastic support. It can be daunting going out on the pitch to face Everton, especially, with the form they're in at the moment. But I always enjoyed the atmosphere. The crowd are on you, they're close to the pitch, a knowledgeable fan base they have at Everton, and they get behind their team.
There was very little for the Everton faithful to cheer in the reverse fixture, however. Koeman fielded a 5-man defence at Stamford Bridge in a bid to contain Conte's side. But that game plan was ripped up by a superb Chelsea performance, with Eden Hazard at his devastating best. Keeping him and his teammates quiet on Sunday will be crucial for the Toffees and key to their chances of a positive result.
Everton will pack that midfield and try and not let Chelsea get freedom and get their good players with the heads up. We saw what Manchester United did, against Chelsea. I mean, a little bit different in terms of that they man-marked Hazard. That may be an option now for clubs going forward.
Diego Costa must also be closely watched. 2 goals on Tuesday ended his longest goal drought since moving to England and proved decisive. Chelsea would be 15 points worse off without his 19 goals, and even during that barren run, his place in the side was never in question.
For Antonio Conte, simply it's about getting over the line. He wouldn't care less whether Costa scores again this season or not. Strikers go through droughts at times, but I think overall, in the context of the season, Diego Costa has been one of the outstanding players.
Romelu Lukaku also falls into that category, and it'll be hard to ignore the forward in this game against his old club. His exploits this season have seen him regularly linked with a return to Stamford Bridge. Sunday provides another opportunity for him to show Chelsea just what he can do.
Wouldn't that be the story? Chelsea let Lukaku go, and he could be the player to come back and really scare Chelsea and, let Tottenham back into the title race. The Chelsea back three, we think they'll go with the back three, will have to be really switched on against Lukaku. He is powerful, he is pacey, and, on his day can cause any defender all sorts of problems.
If Lukaku is on song, there's every chance Everton will continue their impressive recent record in this fixture. Goodison Park is not a ground Chelsea have enjoyed visiting lately. They've lost 5 of their last 7 trips there in the Premier League. They'll be desperate to avoid a slip-up this weekend.
What a tough test for Chelsea. The team you didn't want to play away from home was Everton. Their form has been so good. They got 29 goals at home since the turn of the year, which is incredible. They fear nobody at home, so you just can't rule Everton out with this one.
Koeman's side pose a threat, but with this match falling before the North London derby, a win for Chelsea would pressurise Spurs. If Conte's men can pass this test, few would bet against them going on to lift the trophy.
Manchester City cling to 4th place after being held to a goalless draw in the Manchester derby on Thursday. Their target for the remainder of the season is securing a Champions League spot, with any prospect of silverware this season scuppered. As for their opponents, Middlesbrough have just picked up their first win in 17 Premier League games, a glimmer of hope they can avoid the drop. If they're to upset the odds against City, Steve Agnew may look for Adama Traore to make things happen. He appears to have the potential, completing more dribbles than any other player in Europe's 5 biggest leagues this season, but that's resulted in just 1 assist.
He needs to do more. He needs to add more end product to his game. It's all well and good dribbling past 3 or 4 or 5 players, but you know, if you're not getting to the byline and picking someone out, or you're not assisting, then you know there's no real point being out there, and that's probably the reason why he has been in and out of the side through the season. You know, we all know about his blistering pace and his ability to go past players, but you do have to have end product to your game.
Middlesbrough's attacking opportunities may be limited against a side that have enjoyed playing on the road this season. Pep Guardiola's men have picked up 52% of their points away from home. Manchester United are the only team in the current top 7 with a higher percentage. Despite City's impressive record on their travels, their fans' past experiences at the Riverside don't make for happy memories. There, City have lost 7 of their 10 Premier League games against Borough, and in May 2008, it was the venue for their heaviest defeat in the competition, as they were thrashed 8-1.
Manchester United may have allowed Manchester City 19 shots during the Derby stalemate, but their defensive record for 2017 remains intact. Jose Mourinho's side have conceded fewer Premier League goals than any other team this calendar year, just 5 in total, a sharp contrast to the first half of their season when they let in 19. United's 13th draw of the season means they've gone 24 league games without losing, equaling the record for their longest unbeaten run within a single top-flight season. But their frustrating home form has seen them drop points, and with just 5 games remaining, they can ill afford to settle for yet another draw. On Sunday, they face a side fighting for Premier League survival, but with a set-piece specialist capable of serving up an upset. Swansea City's Gylfi Sigurdsson has provided 12 Premier League assists this season, but a league-high 7 have come from set pieces, one of which came against their opponents in the reverse fixture in November. The Swans' much-needed victory over Stoke City last weekend ended a 6-match winless run, but the South Wales side remain in the relegation zone. Having failed to pick up a single point on the road since the end of January, Paul Clement's team still have a lot to do in a short space of time to secure their top-flight status.
Crystal Palace's midweek defeat was just their 2nd in 9 games, a revival that's eased their relegation fears with the club 7 points above the drop zone. Burnley's mood has swung in a different direction. Back-to-back defeats have made it just 1 win in the last 11, and Sean Dyche's side sit in a perilous 16th place. For the Clarets' poor run of form to end, they'll need to pick up their first away victory of the campaign. On the road, Burnley have taken a direct approach this season, winning the highest amount of aerials. But the way Palace have been defending in the past few weeks, that may just play into their opponents' hands.
That's going to be meat and drink for those centre-halves. They would certainly prefer, or not prefer I should say, probably someone who's making runs in behind and balls being played down the sides of them and getting tested in that way. So I think Burnley will have to come with a different formula, because, you know, to not win an away game this season, you know, obviously that kind of formula hasn't really been working for them.
The Clarets will need to find a way around Palace's Luka Milivojevic, who's played a central role in his side's impressive turnaround. The Serbian's made the most interceptions of any midfielder since his Premier League debut in February, helping the London club win 6 of the 10 games he's featured in. These two sides played out a goalless draw in their only previous Premier League meeting at Selhurst Park in September 2014. Burnley looked on course for a win when they were awarded a penalty with just 5 minutes to go, but Julian Speroni saved the day for Palace, earning them a share of the points. Watford's poor away form in the Premier League continued as they slipped to defeat at the hands of strugglers Hull City last time out. While the Hornets' record on their travels could be a concern for Wouter Matsari, their recent results at Vicarage Road have been quite the opposite. Watford have lost just 1 of their last 7 league games in front of their own fans, winning 3 on the spin without conceding a goal. Matsari will be seeking more consistency as they head into their final matches of the campaign.
They're a little bit of an enigma, Watford, when you look at them. Never quite sure what you're going to get in terms of performances and results. Home form's not bad, away from home, not that great in the Premier League this season, but I think there's a couple of clubs in the Premier League that need to finish strong. I think Watford are one, and obviously West Ham another one. So I think in terms of managers keeping their jobs, I think Walter Mazzarri must want a good finish from now till the end of the season.
Matsari's performance has been under scrutiny for some time, but his Premier League win percentage outstrips his predecessors. This season, Watford have won a third of their games, better than any of their 3 previous Premier League campaigns, as the Hornets established themselves in the division.
It's still a smallish club in the Premier League, trying to find their feet and trying to stay in the Premier League for a number of years, so that's the main objective, and then you can sort of kick on from there and maybe spend a lot of money. There's been a lot of managers come through the door at Watford of late, which hasn't been great for them, but Mazzari's done okay. I think he'd be quite pleased in terms of what his team's achieved.
Liverpool's need for a win at Vicarage Road has been increased by their defeat to Crystal Palace. The 8th time this season Jurgen Klopp's side have dropped points from a winning position. They only need to let one more slip to equal the most points they've ever dropped in a single Premier League season, and there are 4 games still to play. For the Reds to hold on to a place in the top 4, they'll almost certainly require their strongest finish for years. They've only won 4 out of 4 at the end of a campaign twice in 24 seasons, and you have to look back to 2009 for the last of those. On average, they've taken just under 7 points from a possible 12 to close out the campaign, but will be desperate to ensure this one doesn't fizzle out.
Jurgen Klopp would be having a little panic up at the moment. I think that the result against Crystal Palace wasn't ideal. A couple of good results before that, West Brom and Stoke, 2 hard places to go and get results from. And then a disappointing result against Crystal Palace at the weekend. They weren't great, and that's where you've got to come out of it, worst case scenario, with a draw, but to lose the game and all of a sudden it puts a top 4 in doubt.
Hoping to cause Liverpool problems on Monday is likely to be Jose Holebas. The former Greek international found game time limited under previous manager Quique Sanchez-Flores, but is almost ever present for Matsari. Holebas has spent an almost identical amount of time on the ball as last season, but this time around is providing much more of an attacking threat.
He's one of these guys that, you ask him to do the work rate. I think he's well capable of doing that. We'll certainly put a shift in for his side, but I think when you look at Holebas, it's all about handling the ball and can he create goals and assists and create chances and take your side further up the pitch, and sometimes that's valuable when you're under a little bit of pressure. Who do you try and look for to take your side 30-40 yards further up the pitch, and he's very good at that.
The reverse fixture earlier this season was one to forget for Holebas and co. Liverpool ran riot, comprehensive 6-1 winners. Klopp's men peppered Watford's goal throughout the game with 17 shots on target, the most any side's managed in a single match since that data started to be recorded. That was Liverpool's 2nd successive victory over Watford in the Premier League, and just the 2nd time in their 7 meetings that both teams scored. Watford, though, did win 3-0 at Vicarage Road last season, and Klopp certainly can't afford another outcome like that with the Reds' top 4 position at stake.
It's a tough one for Liverpool. I think we're talking about a Watford side that are very unpredictable. I saw Watford bully Liverpool last season, and half a dozen Liverpool players went hiding, so if Jurgen Klopp's getting footage of that, I'm sure he'll show the players, because they were nowhere near it last season. So it's going to have to be one of those games where I don't expect Liverpool to win it comfortably, but it might be a little bit of a grind.
Stoke City welcome West Ham United to the Bet365 Stadium on Saturday, looking to bounce back following defeat to Swansea City last time out. They face a struggling Hammers side who picked up just 1 Premier League win in their last 10 games, but may be encouraged after holding on to a 0-0 draw against Everton. That was West Ham's 7th home clean sheet of the season, but Slaven Bilic's side haven't been as solid at the back on their travels. The Hammers have conceded in all but 1 of their matches on the road, with 54% of all the goals that they've shipped coming away from the London Stadium. Jack Butland returned last weekend, and manager Mark Hughes may face a tough choice. Lee Grant has been a steady replacement for his injured teammate. He's kept 9 clean sheets to Butland's 12 over his Premier League career, despite playing 10 games fewer.
Obviously, Jack Butland come back in on the weekend against Swansea and actually played quite well. Looked a little bit rusty, 1 or 2 half mistakes, but Lee Grant's been a real surprise for me. I think he's had a superb season, and I think he'll be a little bit disappointed if he doesn't finish the season off, but I'm sure Mark Hughes will want to get Jack Butland back in, give him a run of games.
West Ham are trailing in the head-to-head record with their most recent win at Stoke back in March 2013 as Jack Collison fired in the winner. Last season, the Hammers let a one-goal lead slip in their final match of the campaign. Janelli Mbula equalised after the break before a late goal from Mambiram Diouf gave Stoke the points.
With Sunderland on the brink of relegation, there's a wealth of statistics that underline their disappointing year, not least their lack of success from corners. On that score, they've fared worst of all the Premier League sides, netting only twice, accounting for 8% of their overall goal tally of just 26. The Black Cats' latest defeat, a 1-0 loss to fellow strugglers Middlesbrough, means they've taken just 2 points from the last 27 available. If they fail to beat Bournemouth this weekend and other results go against them, Sunderland's 10-year stay in the top flight will come to an end. It would be no surprise, having spent 238 days in the relegation zone this term. Sunderland's dreadful form has been good news for Bournemouth, who boosted their own survival chances last weekend with a resounding 4-0 win over Borough. Joshua King once again on the score sheet. That was the forwards' 11th of 2017. Only Golden Boot frontrunners Romelu Lukaku and Harry Kane have netted more since the turn of the year. The victory ended the Cherries' 4-match winless run that have fuelled fears they too could be dragged into an end-of-season survival scrap. Currently on 38 points, they need another 5 to surpass last year's tally of 42. Eddie Howe's side all but safe despite a dismal season on the road. They've won only twice on their travels.
Earlier in the programme, we asked who's the youngest player to score in the North London derby. The answer, it was former Tottenham Hotspur man Gareth Bale, who back in September 2007 scored against Arsenal, aged 18 years and 60 days.
Following a successful start to life under Craig Shakespeare, Leicester City's season seems to have stalled again in recent weeks, failing to win any of their last 3 league matches. West Bromwich Albion's impressive campaign is in danger of falling away. After sitting 8th in the table for almost 4 months, they now have Southampton just 4 points behind with a game in hand. Perhaps Matt Phillips can make a difference as he continues his return from injury. The midfielder provided 8 assists before his 7-week spell on the sidelines. Phillips needs just 2 more to equal Chris Brunt's club record of 10 in a single Premier League campaign.
In any Tony Pulis team, I've played under him, and you do need wingers with pace who can get you up the pitch, because he does like to have his team sitting very deep, nice and compact. So you need those kind of wingers with a pace who can run with the ball, and he's done a fantastic job at doing that.
The Baggies' defence had better be at their best this weekend, as their opponent's accuracy up front is admirable. They may not have hit the heights of their title-winning campaign, but Leicester have got 47% of their shots on target, the highest figure they've managed since that data began to be collected. The 2 Premier League meetings between these sides at the Hawthorns have produced 10 goals, the Foxes winning 3-2 both times. In April 2015, City twice came from behind with goals from David Nugent and Robert Huth, before Jamie Vardy's 90th minute clincher gave them 3 vital points in their battle against relegation.
Since his Premier League debut for Southampton in August 2014, Dusan Tadic has become a key part of the side. The Serbian midfielder has provided 24 assists, a figure that can only be beaten by 4 top-flight players in that time. He's been pivotal to the Saints' last 10 league games, being directly involved in 6 goals. Tuesday's defeat against league leaders Chelsea may not have come as a surprise to manager Claude Puel, as his side's disjointed season continues, with 3 defeats in their last 8 Premier League games, having lost 6 in 8 prior to that. It's similarly frustrating at home, as they won 7 points from their previous 7 games at St Mary's. Now they host a team fuelled with grit and determination to match that of their head coach Marco Silva. Since his appointment in January, Hull City have battled back from losing positions on 3 different occasions to win a Premier League game, more than any other side. 9 valuable points in their fight to avoid the drop. Their victory over Watford last weekend maintains Silva's impressive home record, winning 19 of the 21 points available to them. With the same amount of points on offer from their away games since his arrival, they've won just one, accounting for 5% of their tally in that time.
After a busy spell of midweek games, another full fixture list with 5 matches on Saturday, including Southampton against Hull and Crystal Palace Burnley. Among 4 games on Sunday, relegation threatened Swansea go to Manchester United and Everton play league leaders Chelsea. Monday sees Watford host Liverpool. Centre stage on Sunday, though, it's the North London derby. During his Arsenal reign, Arsene Wenger has faced 11 Spurs managers, but he's yet to beat Mauricio Pochettino in the league. White Hart Lane has seen some terrific tussles between Tottenham and the Gunners, a fiercely contested fixture not to be missed. From Dave Farrer, me, Dave Beckett, and all the team, goodbye.